Welcome. In front of me is a TCL 40 SE, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this phone. So anyway, let's just pop it straight open. Now this time around it looks like it's a new phone. I did unbox the TCL 408, which also had the secure sticker over another secure sticker which was cut. This looks like just a single one, so I'm just gonna cut it. There we go. Obviously, here we have our phone. Now under that we have our little SIM tool, paperwork, and a charging cable, and that's it. I'm gonna toss that to the side, get the phone out, now it's perfect, smudged up, just like I like it. Anyway, so I'm gonna start off with the price tag for this device, which it is about 140 euros. Now at that price range, I have to say that this device would actually offer a pretty decent value, considering it is better than what they have right here, which is a TCL 408. I did this not only just in a previous video. I still have the box right here, and that device costed only like 10 euros less, while offering significantly less for its money. Now, comparing it to this one obviously is significantly better. So let me go into these specs. So starting off, we should hopefully see the display in a second. There we go. And the display is a 6.75 inch display with a 720 by 1600 resolution. It's an LCD IPS display with a 90 Hz refresh rate, 450 nits typical brightness, 85.6% screen to body ratio, and 260 pixels per inch. So just to summarize the display right here for people that might not be too versed in just like screens and all that stuff. The resolution here is on a lower end, but obviously this phone is also a low-end budget device. So I don't really have much problem with the resolution, but what's nice is the fact that we have a 90 Hz refresh rate on this device, and the bezels here are pretty minimal compared to some other devices at this price range. So two things that kind of add to the aesthetic appearance of the device and also user experience with a 90 Hz refresh rate. And the resolution, although being low, you can't really complain about it, considering this device is very cheap. So moving on to the back of the device, which we have our something that looks like triple camera, though something tells me it doesn't function like as one. Oh yeah, it doesn't. So the main sensor at the very top is a 15 megapixel wide sensor. Then below that we have two shit cameras. Now I'm not going to point out which one is which, they're both useless, and I'm not going to just point out which one is more useless than the other one. So there are macro and depth sensors at 2 megapixels. Like I said, useless, and you most likely will never find use for them, even if you try to. So yeah. Now, before you start like thinking maybe I'll just use a macro, I mean, after all, it allows you to capture things at a close range. Yeah, when you have a 50 megapixel sensor and you do 2 times zoom, it will provide you with higher quality photos than the dedicated 2 megapixel. So whenever you think you want to use this sensor, just try to use the main one and you will still get better results. So now let's talk about the internals right here. We have a 5010 milliamp hour battery. We have a Helio G37 processor in here, and several different options, several meaning exactly 2, that you can choose from, which is 128 gigabytes of storage with 4 gigabytes of RAM, or 256 gigs of storage with 6 gigs of RAM. So to give you kind of like a maybe suggestion here, If you tend to run multiple apps at the same time, you probably might want to go for the 6 GB of RAM, but if you just use one app at a time and you don't mind, like if an app just needs to reload when you close it and then reopen it, then probably the cheaper option, the 128 with 4 gigs, will be already a decent enough option for you at this kind of price range. And additionally, let me just grab this little tool that I have right here. Additionally, we have expandable storage in here, so if you need more than 128 GB of storage, you can pop in a SD card along with 2 additional SIM cards if you want to, without any kind of problem. Now, moving on to just the exterior of the device, I don't really know how to classify this. We have a power button that doubles as a fingerprint sensor. We have our volume rockers, also on the same side. Then at the bottom we have our Type-C port, which is pretty nice, and a headphone jack, which again, at this price range, for a lot of people, this will be an important part of the device. And besides that, we have a microphone and speaker grills. Then at the top we have more speaker grills, another microphone for like loud calls. And here on the left side we have our tray for a SIM and SD card, and that's about it. Now, the frame of the device is plastic, along with the back being plastic as well, and the obviously front is glass. So yeah, that's basically it. So to summarize this device, for 140 bucks, I think it's a decent option, actually better than this, which is the TCL 408, keeping it in the same brand. And it provides some of nice things in this price range, like the higher refresh rate, which not every device will. It also comes by default with a pretty decent storage amount at 128 gigs. And most of the devices, or maybe not most, but there's some decent ones, like for instance this, that will come with only 64 gigs at the very lowest end, while costing only like 10 euros less. This is just like really getting shafted here, considering you pay 10 more and you get double the storage, which, come on, it's kind of like a no-brainer. So yeah, here being at 128 and all, having in addition a better processor and better display, I would say just wins over that phone that I'm just keep mentioning that I have right here. Now, when it comes down to comparing it to other devices at this price range, it will probably have some competition. I don't know exactly, don't remember from the top of my head, but I know Xiaomi tends to do like budget devices that usually have decent specs for the money. Though I don't know how well it would compare to this one. I know that Xiaomi released the Poco series, which usually provides really good value for the money, and one of those devices recently being the F5 is just an absolute unit for how much it costs. But truth be told, it might be a unit, but it will be more expensive than this, so I can't really compare the F5 to this one. It would be very unfair to this device specifically. It's like $100 more or something along those lines. So like I said, not a very good comparison, but a really good device if you're wanting to maybe look into other avenues, a little bit more expensive. So yeah, summarizing, good display, a good amount of storage, and really good battery. The charging speed right here will be on a slower side, so that's kind of crap, but it is already at 18 watts, so it's not as bad, but it could have been better. We do have a cable, but we don't have a charger included in the box, which most of the Chinese brands do include chargers in the box for their devices. TCL looks like they do not. And the cameras right here, the 2 megapixel like dual lenses are just kind of useless, so that's a minus because you will never get to use them, but you get to pay for them. And the 50 megapixel should be good enough. So yeah, that's basically the positives and the negatives of this device. Now, Obviously, if you already have the device, it should be working great. If you're thinking about picking it up, I honestly don't see too much wrong with it. It seems to be pretty okay. Like I said, from the top of my head, I cannot find anything that would basically be comparable to this at this price range, so yeah. Now anyway, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.